The following program contains distressing material. Viewer discretion advised.
Hello and welcome to Cityscapes, a programme made by and about the members of the PPN and affiliates.
It's just a bit fancy, isn't it? Are you trying to say I'm not fancy? What is it with all of you saying I'm not ladylike? But you're not.
Stones and Boiling Water was written by playwrights Kira Byrne and Aoife Hull. The play concentrates on the women of the 1916 Rising. Here Kira tells us about the impetus for her and Aoife to write this piece.
It is loosely based on the women who are involved in the Easter Rising, and we kind of see their relationships more than anything else, like the love that they have or the loss that they face, and how they kind of overcome it or don't overcome it. We kind of came together because we were very like-minded in the productions we like to see and what we wanted to write about and what we wanted to put on. So we came together and looked up a few of the women that were involved in the Easter Rising, but that, like, we didn't know their names, but I mean, these were huge, like really influential women, and then tried to link them together in a story. So it's a fictional drama. So what happens to the women throughout the play, I mean, the backstories are true, but how we link them together is a fictional part of the play. There's a huge historical group here, and the people here generally actually do know a lot about history and are very connected to the history of Dublin and of the area. We're not talking about very far out, even in connection with the play, like the tobacconist shop that we're talking about in it was in Amiens Street, which is not far from here, which was the IRA headquarters. Then we're talking about the Monto, Montgomery Street, that's also not far from here. So it's like huge history around the area that a lot of people know about, and they love it and they follow it. So in terms of this festival, like the Sean O'Casey Festival runs every year, and gets great crowds in, so like we're really privileged to be able to do this here as part of it, and let the audience see what we've come up with.
I think being outside of Eastwall and not being in that community, and now getting to see like how tight knit it is, and just how strong their community as well is. And even, you know, in rehearsals, we were rehearsing in Eastwall, where was the community centre?
Yeah.
In the youth centre as well, and to see everyone, you know, come together, and even our director just be walking around and he knows everyone.
He knows everyone.
Do you know what I mean? So I just, it's a privilege to be a part of, and yeah, I'm just raging that I think I'm in the community now.
Yeah.
You're
Well, all I can say is good luck to you. You don't need luck. You have the scars to prove it. Well, I'll light a candle.
I play Kathleen Clark, and she kind of has been through the motions of everything before, so people come to her for advice a lot. And like Kira said, in real life, like her and Thomas Clark would have had the tobacconist shop, which would have been headquarters for the IRA. So she's kind of like this person that people come to for advice, and so she kind of knows a lot about what's going on, and so she has a busy brain, but she keeps it all under control. Yeah.
And we all go to Kathleen for advice on anything we need, and she's kind of the godfather of the group. Yeah.
Thanks. I'll get 4-leaf clover and hope for the best. I found it really fun. It's my stage debut. I play Winnie, who's Maggie's best friend, and Winnie throughout the play, while also best friends with Maggie, has a big decision to make, I suppose, and
Yeah, that's kind of the good. Yeah, she has big decisions to make, along with all of the other women.
yeah, totally.
But it's very focused on her because it's happening to her in the time that the play is kind of set.
But I think that you're both mad going over there. With all the other women getting rejected, Saoirse got her decision today. And she was told that women are classed as soldiers.
Oh.
So what makes you two so special?
They don't have all this.
What Maggie means is we worked just as hard as those men did.
We've spoke about issues with women and women not being acknowledged or spoken about, or doing the same job as men but not being paid the same. Issues like that. We could completely make this modern if we wanted to. And then just people's rights, like as human beings, not getting what they were promised because of gender, because of whatever else, religion, race. We've spoken about it a couple of times about how relevant it actually is, and if we wanted to make it modern and wanted to turn it into something else, we could so easily do it, because these things are still happening when they shouldn't be.
For more information, visit the following links. We catch up with the goings-on at the F2 Centre and its members for the final time in our series.
Art for a City came out of a link with Smart D8, which is a new network, I suppose, within the Dublin 8 area. I suppose trying to link health and digital connections. We launched Heart for a City. It's a formal partnership between the Irish Heart Foundation and ourselves and Fatima Groups United, and also with XWell, which is a grouping that I support people who have issues around heart health and to encourage them to exercise. They offer medically supervised exercise on a weekly basis to encourage people who have heart conditions to get moving and to link into the Irish Heart Foundation. So they have a great service in terms of you can phone a nurse if you subscribe to the Irish Heart Foundation and you have a heart problem or heart worries. Not love heart worries, the others, the real heart. You can literally ring the nurse and get some guidance on that. The heart health in this area would be not great, and the uptake, if you like, of, I suppose, taking on health initiatives to support your heart health has not been great in this area. So Fatima Groups United and the F2 Centre want to encourage that among local people. We're hoping that that connection will continue over the years. We work very closely with Dublin City Council Sports Partnership. We have great relationships with the sports officers there, and we have been doing programmes like Change for Life, which is like an operation transformation every year from January to March, where we try and get everybody moving and exercising. The sports partnership applied for funding, and we now have a Fatima Sports Hub. And from this hub, we're encouraging people from 0 to 100 in Bluebell, Inchicore and Rialto to get moving and get exercising. And we're encouraging people maybe to try sports that they haven't done before or train to be trainers, like the Go for Life training. We're also approaching like the drug teams, and we're approaching parents, groups of children with additional needs, and family support projects and the youth projects. I think there's some program called To Hell and Back that'll be rolled out for teenagers. We've chair aerobics, we have circuit training. So all the different areas will have the sports available locally and which suit their needs. And the local groups themselves are recruiting, so we want men, women, children, whatever age group at different times, so that there's always a sport available, and it's either at no cost or else it may be a donation to help towards the community groups. In particular, we're very interested and we're starting exercise classes for children with additional needs, maybe on the autism spectrum or with Down syndrome or whatever, and with specific exercise classes with great support to get people, I suppose, just socialising as well, and also exercising. And also anybody, people maybe from different backgrounds here who may not have the family support structures, encouraging them to get into exercise classes. Because everything that we do, while it might be good for your physical health, like exercising, is also good for your social health, because you're meeting people and having fun. And we're hoping to have like an outdoor games next year. And then just recently we did a great, I suppose, training for the Jerusalem dance. It's a bit of a nightmare, it's quite a hard dance to do. And we performed it in St. Michael's Estate in the open air. And I think that was a really good way of encouraging people to get involved in classes. And from that we will offer lots of other exercise classes over the coming year.
Welcome to the Fatima Sports Hub.
From Eve to Mila, let your watchword be wisdom. Put on the raiment of truth. Value the freedom that is your mind. Cherish what really matters and be your own woman.
Very good. As usual in the FT Center, every year they do amazing Women's Day. So I really enjoy today with all the ladies coming today here.
I coordinated this event for International Women's Day with my colleagues here in the FT Centre, just to celebrate, International Women's Day, the achievements that women have made over the last century or so.
And when the 29th century enter, and I will love you when the seas dry and the forest burns.
It's a way of celebrating achievements and raising awareness of other things. So we had Kate and we had Anita and Amy from the Inchicore Outreach Domestic Violence Centre here to talk about, the current trends in gender-based violence and the services that they offer.
The following segment contains distressing material. Viewer discretion advised.
We've worked with people from every class, colour, creed, and it's really important that we stress that domestic violence is systematic in a global way. It doesn't happen just as an accidental thing between a man and a woman. It's a system that we need to demolish.
Even though we have a centre and we have a space, a confidential space, we can meet a woman outside the service. We don't have to, we understand that women's times are very limited with work, there's childcare, so for instance, we might meet a woman in the coffee shop on their lunch break right beside their job. We won't force a woman to disclose anything. We meet a woman where they're at and walk the journey with a woman.
I remember a woman in a refuge telling me, I have no bruises, but if you could see the inside of my head. And our poster to this day has been, you don't need a bruise to be abused.
I think it's been a successful morning and we had a great turnout and we had some music here as well, we had some poetry, so it was really nice, so I enjoyed it.
Songs. The first one is slower and the second one is going to be quick, and I'm going to be asking you to join me. I'll indicate to you what I want you to do when we sing that one. Okay, so.
Well, I've been singing all my life. I started lessons when I was 19. Although I've been told that I sang before I talked. I started those lessons and I did the grade exams up along the way and sang at, the funerals and the weddings. And then I joined the RTE Philharmonic Choir and I spent 20 years in that choir, which was an education in itself. And then I was very interested in the therapeutic aspect of singing. From my own life, I've realised that, through troubled times, you'd go to a class or go to choir and you come out feeling better than you went in. So it's pretty obvious that it's good for you. But I was interested in using it in a community setting. I started going to Fatima Family Resource Centre in 2017. A friend of mine invited me along to a craft class and I enjoyed that. And from then on, I started to explore some of the other classes that they had. I tried Tai Chi and yoga and eventually drama and poetry, and they have a wide range of classes to suit anybody. Then in 2020 I started to do a diploma in community music, and part of that diploma involved setting up and running a community music project. We were in the middle of COVID and it was very difficult to get into any organisation or building, and even the Fatima building itself was shut down. But they allowed me to use their Zoom facility, and also I was able to recruit people to run a 30-week online singing class with kind of music education thrown in for my project. So that really helped me. As part of that project, in the summer of 21, they asked me to continue a 7-week outdoor singing class, casual singing class, in the grounds of the Royal Hospital Kilmainham in Imma. And that went very well. There were a group who joined us because they were tired of doing classes on Zoom at that stage, as everybody was exhausted. And then following on from that was so successful that funding was provided for me to run a singing group from then on until the end of this year within Fatima. And I kind of created a model where we would do some meditation, some vocal exercises, some vocal technique training and singing for fun. And that went very well. So I can say I have really developed, and it has made a difference to my life in general. Well, the group were a group of women who were used to going to classes within Fatima, but they were enthusiastic singers and they needed somebody to lead them. Yeah, we prepared a few songs this year for the International Women's Day. Fatima always run a little event every year to mark the day. So they had a tea and we were included. That was our first outing as a group. And it was good for us because it was another opportunity for us to get out there and sing in front of people, which is a new experience for most of the people in the group. The group will evolve, presumably. I think new people will join it this year. We were restricted in numbers because of COVID last year, and who knows, the idea is to challenge the group and bring more challenging material and see how it evolves as a singing group. I first came across the Sing Strong program in September of 2020. Sing Strong is a project where they use singing techniques to improve people's breathing. Anybody with breathing conditions, respiratory conditions, find that it's very, very difficult to breathe deeply. Singing, by its very nature, trains you to sing using the lower part of the lungs, using the intercostal muscles and the diaphragm. And even though these people haven't been trained as singers, it's possible to give them some insight into the techniques that are used for singing. Dr. Roisin Cahalan from the University of Limerick and Ciara Mead, who is a singer, a vocal coach and choir director. So they set up this project in cooperation with COPD Ireland to teach people the techniques of singing in order to help them with breathing difficulties. It's something that has been tried in other parts of the world, and they went for training with British Lung Foundation in order to come back to Ireland and train facilitators. And I emailed them to tell them that I was interested. They had started a plan to train people, and we were given training in November of 2020. We have to pick songs that people can learn, that they're familiar with, perhaps that they already know the tune of. Also, it's important that the songs give the people the possibility of singing long lines, long phrases, because that's the focus of the training, to extend the exhale. And also the songs have to be suitable, that they're not under too much pressure. They can, in between phrases, that they can bring in a breath and that they don't panic. And also they have to be fun. They have to be something that people enjoy singing. And for people who have never sung or feel that they can't sing, it's great to be in a group that encouraged them to sing, because so many people went through their lives and felt, I can't sing. And very, very few people fit into that category, if any. You don't have to be a wonderful singer. You just have to learn to enjoy it. And everybody can learn a few techniques from singing. And they can improve all parts of their mind and body and their spirit.
For more information, visit the following links. Our last visit to St. Patrick's Cathedral sees us learn about one of its most famous deans.
Sheena here from Cityscapes. We're back here with Dean Morton at St. Patrick's Cathedral, and we're here discussing Jonathan Swift. Have you read Gulliver's Travels? And if so, what's your favourite part?
I have read Gulliver's Travels many years ago, I have to say. I think I read it at school. And it's almost a case, isn't it, that to become dean here, you have to have read Gulliver's Travels. Yeah. Well, not quite, but I can tick the box. Okay. I did read Gulliver's Travels, and of course, it's a fascinating book, isn't it? It says so much about Jonathan Swift, who, of course, let's bear in mind, first and foremost, he was an Anglican priest of the Church of Ireland, first and foremost, but he was a writer, an author, he was a poet, and he made use of what we might call satire. And Gulliver's Travels is a prime example of satire. I think in a way he would probably have said himself he was trying to highlight what he would have termed the stupidity of people. Particularly, he said, people that were involved in some very high echelons of society. So he was always trying to just sort of, poke and tease people who were in positions of power and get them to look at themselves. Maybe, but not altogether, but maybe in the world of politics and of science and of industry and all of those areas. So he was trying to do all of that. So what you have in Gulliver's Travels is this fictional character called Lemuel Gulliver, who's writing this sort of four-part, you could almost call it like a travel log of his journeys to remote places throughout the world. So there are these sort of global journeys. And of course he begins with the island of Lilliput, and he of course is this towering giant, and everybody else is minuscule. And he's trying to write all of this here, and then he goes on. Brobdingnag was another one where the thing was replaced and he was minuscule, and they were giants. The final one, of course, is the country of the Houyhnhnms, and which is a very interesting one, really, because you had these creatures which were really like horses who were like intellectual and had the ability to speak. And they were in charge of these, what some authors have called these sort of humanoid beings, people more or less, but not possessing the humanity that Swift through Gulliver thought they should have. And he called them, nothing to do with the search engine, but he called them Yahoos, you see. So, but it's a fascinating read, and there is that sort of kind of dark imagery to it in all of that. And one of the most fascinating parts of it is really in the section on Lilliput, where he is clearly poking fun at the area of British politics. And he's sort of getting them to laugh at themselves, or to see the stupidity of some of their statements or some of their antics. And there's a humorous thing where there's this controversy about how do you eat your boiled egg. He despairs really about the human race because he said, they're an encapsulation of, all the limitations of humanity. He was writing this, of course, about 6 years after Daniel Defoe had written Robinson Crusoe. So he takes the sparkle out of Defoe, I think, and things like this. But it has appealed, and it appealed to people like George Orwell in his Animal Farm. And it actually appealed to the composer Telemann, because he actually composed a violin suite that was based on some of the ideas that Gulliver, aka Swift, said was anonymous. He couldn't have his own name to it, but he got some of the ideas out of that, from Swift's writing and put them into the music? So it's an interesting question. So earlier I was saying about Dean Jonathan Swift and about his use of satire, and I was saying about the humour and the irony and I suppose you could call it exaggeration and ridicule, and how he used a combination of all these commodities to get people to look at themselves. But sometimes it backfired maybe a little, and people would start to look at other people and identify these. But what he was trying to do, I think, was to get people to find these qualities within themselves and to be aware of them and try to maybe improve how they came across in life. In the words of his epitaph, we see glimpses or little nuances of that sort of those things about this sort of indignation and anger that he had at times. And these are just a couple of lines, and they come from a lovely little book called Best Loved Swift, and they're a compilation of some of Swift's writings by a lovely man who was here for the launch of this book actually in 2018, and it was published by the O'Brien Press. And the man was John Wise Jackson, and he autographed the book for me here, and sadly died quite suddenly. He presented me with a copy of this, and he writes that the last 5 years of Swift's life were increasingly miserable. Deaf, often in pain, and erratic in temper. He spent his days alone, walking the deanery stairs. For much of the time, he hardly spoke. Among his last recorded utterances were the words, "I am what I am," repeated over and over again, and on another occasion, "I am a fool." On the 19th of October 1745, he died. Visitors came to pay their respects here in the deanery and snipped off locks of his white hair. He was buried in St. Patrick's Cathedral, where the epitaph he wrote for himself may be visited, and this is a literal translation. Here is placed the body of Jonathan Swift, Doctor of Sacred Theology, of this Cathedral Church, Dean, where savage indignation no more can lacerate his heart. Depart, traveller, and if you are able, imitate this man who, using all the strength he had, was the defender of liberty. And I'll just say that St. Patrick's Cathedral is open for worship, and it is open to receive visitors who wish to hear of our history. And I would love to think that it will long continue to be, and forever continue to be, a place of immense welcome, friendship, tolerance, acceptance, and inclusivity. A place of huge welcome for people from the various branches of the Christian family, all the denominations of the Christian family. Also to people of world religions, but very especially to people who come through our doors with maybe no particular religious affiliation whatsoever, but who are nevertheless welcome, like every one of us, as members of the human race.
For more information, visit the following links. We attended the Five Lamps Arts Festival, one of the most electric events on the Dublin calendar.
Tracy Lonergan from the Five Lamps Arts Festival. I'm the founder of the festival. I work as a teacher in the North Strand in further education. 15 years ago I thought about organising an arts festival. I had seen someone do it in Rathmines and I thought this area needs an arts festival. A lot of the women I was teaching were teaching young women coming back into education, and they had never been to the Abbey or they had never been to the National Art Gallery or anything like that. And I thought, well, we're only a stone's throw from the Abbey. So I married the two together and sort of started bringing people to events. And then I said, look, we can create our own events. And that's how it started. I have a huge number of volunteers from Germany. This is Tessa and Sheila. Some paid people.
Hi, I'm Marcel. I'm the project manager of the Five Lamps Arts Festival.
My name is Thais Moniz. I'm an artist and designer. And yeah, I'm here with Turbans, which is my research project.
So Mud Island started maybe 8 or 10 years ago. I'm not exactly sure when it started. And it was just a bit of wasteland, and the local community wanted to make it into a garden. And so slowly they did it with the support of Dublin City Council. And every year it's gotten better and better. And there's a great strong community. Maeve Foreman is one of the people on the committee. And Maeve was actually on the board of the Five Lamps Arts Festival. So there's a lot of tie-up. We have events here today. We have Dale Treadwell telling us about dinosaurs and about the earth and how we find the earth. We have a Shanos dancer from Chile teaching people how to do old style Irish dancing. We had Jan Brereton earlier on reading her poetry that she started writing in the lockdown, and it was really great fun listening to her. The traditional music at 6 o'clock here in the garden from Anne-Marie Bell and Seamus Hyland, and they were two young people who met in Trinity College and started playing music, and the garden here was a great place for them to play music during the lockdown. The joy that the arts can bring to people and the satisfaction is really important. What the festival does really well is it celebrates the place. We have two films today, one by Anya Phillips and the other one by Anne-Marie Barry, and they're in Delight Studio. And they look at the history of the area. A lot of the people that live in the area are artists, and we try and give them a platform. Anne-Marie Barry, she was an artist in the Fire Station Studios, which is just over the road from where we are. We had a very, very successful project this year where it was called Pride of Place. A woman called Maria McCree grew up in Sheriff Street. She is really proud of the place that she comes from. She photographed people who had gone into her father's shop when they were children, and we have a fantastic exhibition in CHQ of a selection of the portraits that she made, and also we have a reincarnation of Mattie's shop, her father's shop.
I'm Peter Clark and I'm a member of the Royal Canal Amenity Group, and the group was formed in 1974 to restore the Royal Canal. The group started and it mushroomed into the Royal Canal Amenity Group. Within weeks there were 500 people all along the canal every weekend out cleaning up the canal to make it habitable. And then we fought very hard, the group fought very hard. The canal was in this condition at the time, you can see it, and it is in really poor condition. That's Croke Park at the moment, that is it. And we just got a walk through there now, and it's two totally different places. We started off with cake sales and everything else. I found this the other day, which came from 1974, a cake sale to help with the restoration. Now, we've moved on from 1974 and we promote walks, cycling. We just finished a really good walk with the group here for the Five Lamps, and we do that every year for them and for all types of groups who want to walk, to learn about the canal's history, to learn about the local history. And this is our walking guide, which is on its third print now. 5 walks along the Royal Canal, history and local history from Dublin to Maynooth. And of course you can get in and out of the train all of the long. Don't charge for walks, and we'll be delighted to come and talk.
In order for the festival to be sustainable, I must have a salary in place for my position, because I'm the chief volunteer and I probably work about 40 hours or more a week, just designing stuff and organising things, and it does take a lot of effort. The biggest risk to the festival at the moment is that if I'm not there and if the project manager's not there, she gets very little money for her job. But we're passionate, both of us, about the arts in the area, and we want to see it continue, the festival, the way we envisage it.
For more information, visit the following links. TOG is a hackerspace based in Dublin. In this piece, we learn about some of their projects.
So TOG is we call ourselves a hackerspace, TOG the Dublin hackerspace. You could also call it a makerspace, we call ourselves that. TOG, it's really T-O-G, TOG. It's an old Irish word meaning to build or construct, but we decided for reasons of internet and websites we better leave out the files, so we kind of call ourselves TOG.
You could find somebody one day doing electronics, in the next room someone could be brewing. So we have a nice kind of mix of different interests and projects.
We're a non-profit organisation. Nobody works here. We're not a place of work. We're not a co-working space or startup. All of us, and we've a little over 80 members now, maybe heading for 90. And we just do everything here for fun. Tonight, for example, it's electronics night. I host tonight. It's a team night. People can come in, bring in something they want to work on. Maybe they know exactly what they're doing. They want to use our test equipment, components. If they don't have a clue, that's fine as well. Just come in and see what's happening. People are just curious, don't know where to get started. So, apart from my night, which is electronics, we have clothing night, we have lock picking night, where we teach people to pick locks open, we have crafting night, you name it.
One thing we've been doing over the last few years is helping people monitor their local environments. So we've been doing that through low-cost air quality sensors. So it's called Sensor.community. So it's a worldwide initiative where people build these air quality sensors, contribute a bit of citizen science to the global network, and we help people identify local pollution sources. And we want to empower them by having real data so they can go to their local communities, their local policymakers, and have data to back up their feelings about the environment, and to go, look, we can detect that there are problems with air pollution. If there's certain weather conditions or if there's a certain time of year, it really is hazardous to your health to go out and walk around.
So you heard of STEM, STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Well, that got linked into STEAM, STEAM, the A being art, right? Because things have to look nice. And our artistic members have made some of our projects look really nice, lovely enclosures. They'll add a theme to it that I can't think of stuff like that. So our Guzman box that Sinead, one of our artist members, make. Jeff has a skull radio that you bite down on. You can hear the music inside your head even though you can't hear it. But all that to make it look nice. So that's kind of the nice things that I would have made me not put so much effort into.
So for the last year, TOG has been very interested in repairing things. So we've started up an initiative called the Repair Cafe. This is a community repair initiative. It's event focused. So people come in, it's not like a repair shop or repair service. People don't come in and just drop something off. We want to teach them how to repair things, how they to fix it, for them to get the confidence, the knowledge, the skills to maybe attempt to repair on their own.
The Repair Cafe was initiated in Ireland by Claire Downey, who's now working with the Rediscovery Centre in Ballymun. And the Rediscovery Centre actually are the national centre for the circular economy. They have the contract with that. And she initiated that some years ago. The idea started in the Netherlands, where people could come together to on a particular day and bring anything from their computers to their bicycles along to have them repaired by people who are competent to do so.
So how the event works is we open up our space, people come in with their broken items. Usually they've been down the back of a wardrobe, in a junk drawer for years, and they're just waiting on that opportunity for someone to fix them. So they come along to us, we get them involved in the fix from the start, we give them a screwdriver, we give them a needle and thread if it's a crafting fix. We give them the tools and we help them along their journey of repair. Sometimes it's great. They go home with a fixed item, some new skills. Sometimes, unfortunately, we don't fix them, but it's about bringing them on that journey.
I fixed, or should I say, troubleshot a very expensive kitchen blender, not really a domestic one, more a commercial one. It was a couple of €100, and the switch on the front had broken, and the manufacturer just would not supply the switch. So I couldn't fix it, but I was able to tell by taking it apart, okay, this is a plain ordinary mains single pole rocker switch, standard size. I was able to look up local supplier, buy one, €60, you're back in action.
This Circular Economy Bill, which passed in the Dáil and is now signed into law by the President, enables a lot more to happen in this area than ever before. It means products will have to be made more durable. It means that maintenance and repair will become compulsory. It means that companies will have to be able to carry spare parts. So therefore products can last longer, which will mean, of course, the whole area of waste disposal is reduced, particularly with plastics. Local economies can thrive. People can be trained in maintenance and repair. It means they can be trained in how to enable small-scale local community enterprises or workers' cooperatives, which can end up doing anything similar to, say, the one that was in Belfast, set up repairing bicycles, baking bread, and doing landscape gardening. But it enables much more activities to become localised, and especially in areas of disadvantage where there's unemployment, black spots. It will enable a lot of activities under this Act to take place.
For more information, visit the following links. Buckle up, we're back here with our how-to demo.
The first shot we're going to talk about is the wide shot. So the wide shot gives us the context of whatever is happening. It sets the scene. It's the establishing shot. It shows us who the people are and what they are doing and where it is. The wide shot will capture both the interviewer and the interviewee. So if you only have the one camera, this is the best one to go with. So the next shot we're talking about is the medium shot. One of the most important things about the medium shot is it's the main one which shows the person's body language. You want to capture just above their head and capturing from their hip up. It lets us see them as a person. It shows us who they are. It shows their body language. It shows how they express themselves and how they react to things, which is a really important thing for viewers to see how people engage with a certain topic. So you might use the medium shot to help the viewer to understand who the person is. It gives us a fuller picture of who they are and as they are expressing themselves. Now, the next shot we're going to talk about is a really important one called the close-up. The close-up catches from above the person's head, from their neck up. So we can really see the person's face. We can see their emotions, we can see the details of their face, we can see how they react to things. You can use this shot when people are reacting to something dramatic, and you can really see how it manifests in their face. So you can really use this when you are talking about controversial topic or a contentious or an emotional topic for somebody, and just showing how they react will be extremely powerful for the viewer. So the final shot we're going to talk about is the extreme close-up. Extreme close-up is when you fill the screen with one detail that you want to highlight. Now this can really come into play when a person is talking about a controversial topic where they are saying one thing, but perhaps their body language or their nervousness might come through in terms of how they are using their hands or some of the twitches in their face. So you can shoot to an extreme close-up of some of this to show how they are really feeling, which might be in contrast to what they are saying. This is a shot which you use sparingly at the right time to really show something that is really relevant to whatever is happening. So you really enlarge whatever the features are. It might be the hands, it might be the eyes, it might be the mouth, something like that, to really show in a big detail something about this person or indeed about the background footage. For example, if a person is sad and dealing with loss, you can show an extreme close-up of a book on that topic of dealing with loss, which will show the viewer the emotions that that person is going through. Or if a person is talking about how they are nervous or they're being described as nervous, you can show some of their body language. For example, their hands, their twitching hand movement will convey to the viewer the emotions this person is going through, and it's showing how they're nervous.
Are you wondering about how to film things? Well, good news. Today we're going to learn a simple and easy method that you can use to film any action anytime. It's a method called the 5-shot rule, and it's a simple set of steps to film a person who's doing any kind of an activity, and you just need to follow the steps and you'll get great results.
And basically for each of those shots, what you do is line it up that you are happy with how it looks, then you press record and you hold it steady for 5 to 10 seconds. So don't move the camera about, don't shake it about, just hold it steady and get 10 seconds of footage for each shot. The first shot is a close-up on the hands. The second shot is a close-up on the face. The third one is a wide shot. What this involves is taking a step or two back and be able to see the whole picture that a person is doing their activity in. And the fourth one, it is over the shoulder, or sometimes known as the hero shot. And then the fifth one is to find an unusual shot, so for example to the side, above, below, and so on.
And so those are 5 shots which you've collected, and when you piece them together, they're going to build a great picture of the activity, which is going to be beautiful for the viewer, and you'll have done your job as a camera person.
For more information, visit the following link.
Hi Philomena, how are you?
Hi Susan.
Listen, I'm just editing the interview you did with Betty Ash from the St Andrews Resource Centre, and I was just wondering, do you want to take a look at it?
That'd be grand. Thank you.
Our last piece sees us down at St Andrews Resource Centre.
Can you introduce yourself and tell us what is your role at the centre?
Well, Philomena, my name is Betty Ash, and I grew up on Pearse Street. I've lived in Pearse Street all my life, and I'm a founder member of this organisation.
Can you talk to us about the history of the centre?
Yes, Phil, it's my pleasure. The organisation was set up in the 1980s because of big changes in this community, and that was because of the transition from a highly industrialised community, Dockland community, the port, the gas company, the Hammond Lane Foundry, where education wasn't needed. The area was depopulated because the couple of tenements fell, and the area was cleared of the tenements and substandard housing, and it left us with a very, very small community. Yeah. And there was a need to have some services provided for the people remaining. We were in a very, very dark place. There was no money anywhere, and with a population that was diminished and demoralised, we needed to establish some sort of connection that would give people a sense of pride in their identity. And so it emanated from the church. One of our curates, Tom O'Keefe, he brought in people to talk to us about setting up services for the community. And we did that in Westland Row with premises from Trinity College. It did start off as mature students who wanted to go back into education. We were very much involved in Trinity with the Grinds programs were set up through here with students from Trinity. And we were also involved in the setup of the Trinity Access program. And they did a year on the Trinity Access program and allowed them to get used to study and focusing and concentration. They could access the mainstream degree programs. So we had many of our mature students go in to become social workers, teachers, drugs lecturers and so on. So then it opened up then to the Leaving Cert, school leavers around the surrounding city. Any opportunities that were available, we ensured our people had access to. Originally, it was St Andrews Boys National School, but with the depopulation and the families all moved out, it was no longer required as a school. So we were based in Westland Row, and we from Trinity's premises from Trinity, and then we applied to the diocese who owned the building for a lease to develop as a community resource centre, and we were successful, and we've been doing that since 1984.
What is the centre the greatest achievement so far?
This organisation has been groundbreaking in we were the first to set up a community resource centre as a one-stop shop where all services and all information was available under the one roof. We managed to raise morale, provide services, provide opportunities, open doors, and generally allow our community to grow and develop and become educated and upskilled and feel they're as good as anybody, anywhere. The other thing that I'm most proud of is we had a fantastic team, mainly women, who wanted better for their families and their children. Education was the key to all of that, and to ensure that our kids had opportunities. Anyone is welcome to walk in and inquire
as to what their needs are and what's available, how we can meet their needs. We have a community magazine, the New Link. The New Link just doesn't cover our community, it also covers Ringsend as well. So the information is flowing all the time.
For more information, visit the following links.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Cityscapes. See you next time.